Hey everybody, welcome today to what they never taught us in school, the fundamental strategies for massive practice growth. This is your host, Dr. Peter Osborne, and I'm super excited to be with you today. A little bit about who I am for those of you who don't know me. I've had 18 consecutive years of success in practice. I'm a nationally recognized functional medicine thought leader, a best-selling author, and published with Simon & Schuster Touchstone. I've founded websites, I've hosted summits, the Autoimmune Revolution being one of those. We've had actually 3 of those at this point, and I've written ebooks. I've been featured on Netflix. PBS did a special for us on my book, No Grain, No Pain. Been featured in a number of documentaries. You guys probably know Dr. Tom O'Brien and Betrayal and Dr. Wentz, Isabella Wentz, and her Hashimoto's Thyroid Secret. And been very, very blessed to have a book published in multiple different languages across the world as well. And I run a highly successful annual event called the Functional Medicine Success Summit, as well as a mastermind for doctors looking to expand out and grow their practices. So aside from that, though, you know, what to me even more important, and I don't say all those things really to brag at all, I really just want you to know where the diversity of the things that I've been able to do in my life and kind of why I'm an expert in helping you grow your practice, because I've had so much ability in so many different walks of life, from book publishing to online site publishing to summits, into brick and mortar, as well as to telemedicine types of practices. So this is a picture of my clinic on the upper left-hand side, and you can see these are just some of the pictures clinically that I've taken of past patients. I'm very passionate about working in the practice and being in that environment where we're helping people get better and find real answers using functional medicine and alternative medicine. But even more importantly, I'm just like you, right? So I like dogs, and I like nice things, and I like to eat, as most people do. Fortunately, my wife cooks. She's a great cook and makes everything for me the same way I recommend it, which is no grain, no pain. So all these are grain-free. And you know, the reality is, I like to be with my family. I like to take time off, and I like to have good work-life balance, just like many of you. And that's probably why a lot of you are here today. At least I hope that's why. I hope you're all looking for ways to help build your practice in a manner where you can scale up how you're seeing people, making life easier so that you can have a nice income while you're helping lots of folks, and at the same time be able to still take time off and keep your sanity. So if that's what you want, you're in the right place. Now, I'd like to thank Fullscript, because this presentation is being brought to you by Fullscript, and they've got a short video. Many of you may be already a part of Fullscript's program, but for those of you who aren't, got a quick video I want to show you here about Fullscript, just so you can kind of get an idea for who they are.
Fullscript is the easiest way for practitioners to recommend professional-grade supplements to their patients without the need for physical stock. And it's free. That's why it's used by thousands of practitioners across North America. Here's how you can introduce Fullscript to better your practice. Simply set up an online store exclusive to your patients, no technical skills required. Just pick a style and add your logo. Choose from hundreds of the most popular brands to create your own custom catalog. This way, your patients can easily find and purchase supplements that you've hand-selected. To increase patient success, you can create personalized recommendations for each patient. Delivered by email or text message, your recommendations make ordering easy. And with automated refill reminders, patients are notified when their supply is running low, helping them stay on track with their wellness plan. Sign up for your free account at fullscript.com.
Okay, so that's a kind of if you're not familiar with Fullscript, pretty easy to use, and
There's no such thing as a perfect writer.
Uh-oh.
This is why I use Grammarly to check my work.
If I'm putting commas in the wrong places, that can shift my credibility and ability.
Sorry guys, the video
to
has
persuade others. It helps me
has
become
taken
a better
over. Let me
writer
come back
and-
over here because we got redirected to YouTube here. So okay, here we go. So again, Fullscript makes things easier for you, especially if you're doing like telemedicine or you're just new in practice and you don't have the ability to spend a lot of time dialing in, products from 15 different companies and et cetera, et cetera. So again, I'd like to just thank them. Now, because we're going to be talking about business today, I just want you to understand this is a safe zone, what I like to call the circle of trust, and that what we know about healthcare providers is that, number one, you have good intentions for your patients and clients, and that you're a moral and ethical person. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. And it's a big important point to say that making money is not evil or bad. And this is, I think this is a big problem and part of our profession is so many people, there's this taboo around money. And if you're not thinking about it and you're not thinking about how you can be successful within your practice, you should be. Look, you work hard, you went to school for a very long time to get your education and to get your knowledge and expertise, and you should be reimbursed appropriately for all that hard work. So if you're not thinking about money, you should be. Think about it more. Everyone does, and it doesn't mean that you're evil or bad or that you have the wrong intentions. So again, the social taboo among doctors and healthcare providers is that when it comes to discussing money, it's as if making money equates to not caring about patients, clients, or people, and that's just not true. If you make more money, you can do more, you can reach more, you can help more, you can donate more, you can give more to your community. Like there's so much that money offers you, and so that's why I'm very, very passionate about helping healthcare providers do more and make more. Now, this is a map of kind of a mind map of a practice, of a 10,000-foot overview of what I like to call the 7-figure practice. And so as you're looking at this, this is just structure. Tonight, I'm going to be talking specifically about this aspect of that structure. And so part of this is marketing. Particularly, we're going to be talking about how to identify that USP, that niche, and then how to expand your offline marketing and how to reach greater audiences. And mindset and psychology is a big, big important part of this. So we're going to be diving in a little bit into that as well, so that you can understand what you need to improve your marketing. Because many practitioners that I train, where they come to me is they're struggling, right? And one of the reasons they're struggling is not because they're not busy, it's because they don't have great compliance with the people who are coming through the door. So we're going to talk about the mindset and the psychology behind why that can happen so that you can improve your marketing. Now, we're at a very unique place in the world right now, in that we have this failed medical model. And I'm talking about chronic disease. I'm not talking about acute care medicine. So I'm talking about chronic conditions like autoimmune disease, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, stroke, etc., where we have this failed medical model, and we have a ton of frustrated people, a lot of sick people. Just autoimmune disease alone, there's an estimated 46 million people with autoimmune disease, and they're not getting answers in the medical model. They're actually very, very frustrated. And so where these two intersect, we have this mega opportunity as practitioners to get a lot of the right help to a lot of people who really, really need us. And so that being said, our job is pretty simple. It's to get people in the door and then to get those people better, right? And so if we look at this analytically, how can we accomplish this task when patients or clients and doctors even can sometimes be their own worst enemies? In essence, sometimes the patient gets in their own way and sometimes the practitioner gets in their own way. So part of mindset and psychology and planning is, number one, is attracting the right patients. Why do we want to attract the right people? Because if we attract the wrong people, that creates self-doubt within the practice. Imagine having to spend 40 hours a week convincing the people coming into your office that they need functional medicine, that they need natural care. You shouldn't be having to convince the people in your office. They should be there because they're already convinced. They're already sold. They're just looking for guidance. They're looking for an expert who can lead them, right? So attracting the right types of people is important because it creates confidence for you, and attracting the wrong creates self-doubt. And so that can really either make or break a practice coming out of the gate. Now, identifying and aligning with your vision mission is also critical to creating the practice that you want versus maybe the practice that you have. And some of you may already have the practice you want. You're just trying to make it better by being here today. But having that vision mission statement is very, very important. And it's also critical to effectively launch a marketing strategy. Another area where I see providers fail is they have no marketing strategy. They throw some dollars at Facebook ads. They throw some dollars at Google. They throw some dollars into a local marketing campaign with like a local magazine or whatever it might be, but there's no strategy behind it. They're just hoping that by spending a little bit of money, they're going to attract some of the people, but there's no strategy. And so a vision mission statement helps you really define what your strategy needs to be before you spend money on marketing. So that means you first need to have your why, your big why. Why are you in practice? What is your mission, right? That helps you understand who you are and what you're trying to achieve, but also more importantly, you know what you're trying to achieve, but the rest of the world doesn't. And so if they don't know and you're not telling them, then that creates a problem in your marketing. So you want to have a vision mission because you want the rest of the world to know what you're all about, and you don't want them to have to guess or assume or make observations. Because again, if your marketing is dialed into this, they're gonna, if they think you're a good fit, they're gonna come see you because of your marketing, right? So, but having a vision mission also helps you align your team. Okay, you're in essence the people who work for you and your patients with your mission and purpose. And this is very important because over time, as you align these two areas, you'll create a very, very powerful word of mouth marketing force within your community. But that alignment also excites people. It gets them passionate and it empowers a movement in your community. And one of the best ways to build a practice without spending money on ads and advertising is to have something that creates passion and empowers a movement in your community. So remember this, new patients don't equal success. You know, big mistake I see a lot of practitioners make in my training programs before we get them corrected is they think that busy means successful. Look, I see 21 people a week, and that's all. I refuse to see any more. And part of the reason why is because in functional medicine and in natural medicine, you're spending a lot of quality time with each person. You can't run 30 people a day through the practice and get the kind of results that you want to get. So it's important to understand that busy doesn't mean successful, but compliant patients help you become successful. So to get patients to comply, you have to understand the psychology and their mindset. And that's what a big part of what I want to dive in today. So let's think about who the average person is who's coming in to see somebody who's an expert with functional medicine, a naturopathic doctor, somebody who's alternative medicine or practicing in a manner that's consistent with holistic care, right? So here's that common avatar. These people are sick and tired of being sick and tired. They're frustrated because they've been to multiple experts and they have not had results. So the medicines they were put on didn't really work for them. The side effects were worse than the actual disease, whatever that looks like, right? But they're frustrated. They're looking for a leader. They're looking for somebody who they can follow. They're not looking for somebody that shrugs their shoulders and says, maybe we should try this for a little while, but they're looking for somebody who's got the ability to make definitive decisions, right? And so they're looking for somebody too that they can follow in body, mind, and spirit. So those of you who are in practice, keep this in mind, because this isn't, I mean, keep coming back to some of these pearls that I want you to walk away with today. And one of those is, if you aren't a healthy practitioner and you're trying to be in a position where you teach people how to become healthy, it's going to be a hard sell. People are very intuitive. And so if you're struggling yourself, you want to work on yourself while you're working and helping other people work on themselves, right? So they want somebody they can follow in body, mind, and spirit. And that means you have to be healthy and live the part and work the part and look the part. So additionally, they're looking for somebody who's compassionate, somebody who cares, somebody who's going to listen, not just somebody who, you know, who is just going to make recommendations or be dismissive. And so they're looking also for somebody with a good reputation. Now, some of you may be new in practice and you don't have a reputation that you've built yet, and you're actually in the process mode of building a reputation. Don't be disheartened by that, because you can still bring in the right people if you apply these strategies today. So they're also looking for somebody who will not do the same things that have already been done. So they're not looking for more of the same, because what they've already had done didn't work. So they don't want repeat. Like, so as an example, if they've already been, if you're a thyroid expert and this person's in your office and they'd already been to 2 or 3 or 4 endocrinologists and they'd already had their TSH and T3 and T4 measured, you know, infinite quantities of times, and they'd already been put on levothyroxine, they're not looking for more of that, because that hasn't worked for them. They're looking for something deeper, something better. So again, this is the mindset of the person that's sitting across the desk from you, okay, and that is your patient avatar. Now, that being said, if the person, I'm going to back up for a minute, if the person sitting across from you doesn't fit that avatar, then the reality is this: your marketing is broken because you're attracting people who are not good fits for the type of service that you want to deliver. And this, again, this is one of those areas where I see many clinicians get frustrated because they feel like they're in convince mode. Every day you got to go in and convince somebody to do something that you know will help change their life, but they have to be convinced, and that's not very easy to do, and it's very, very frustrating. So if the people you're seeing don't fit this avatar, you've got a problem in your marketing, and you're attracting people who aren't good fits. And so that's important. That's the takeaway from that slide. Now, I want to share my story with you because once upon a time, I was an idealistic young man, and I was early on in practice, like my first year out, I had to supplement my income. I was working as a college professor, if you will, at Texas Women's University and Houston Community College, teaching anatomy, physiology, and neurology and neuroanatomy. And I was making about $18,000 a year, which for a doctorate level education is not really great income. I'd say it's not really that great of an income for a non-doctorate level of education, but that's where I was, right? And so what happened where I hit a wall was it was right before Christmas. I had family that was flying into town, and my wife spent about $78 on some bushes so that the front yard would look nice because we were hosting Christmas. And so I got mad at her. I was like, "What? How can you spend that kind of money and you know, for bushes when, you know, we don't do that well?" And here I am, I'm a doctor. I'm supposed to be the guy earning the income and taking care of my family, and I'm yelling at her for spending $78 as if $78 is that kind of money, like such an overwhelming amount of dollars. And that's right for me. That was a light bulb moment because it made me realize that here I was with this huge degree, you know, a couple $100,000 later after college, have this great degree, but I'm making $18,000 a year with it. Because why? Because I'm not business savvy. I'm not applying business and marketing strategy. I just am idealistic and think that people will come to me because I know a lot and I could help them. And so that's kind of where I was when I was early on in practice. And so what I had to go back and do is I actually had to go back to school. And when I say back to school, I don't mean back to college. I mean back to the school of hard knocks, where I really had to analyze what I was currently doing. And I had to set myself up to really realize what it is I wanted to be doing. So, you know, big step one is, you know, what are you currently doing, but where do you want to be? So like for me, it was, my mission is very, very bold and very, very big, which is save 100 million lives. That's what I would love to do because there are that many chronically sick people in the world. And so, you know, that was where it began for me. So after kind of having that light bulb moment, I sat down and I thought, what am I trying to do? Am I trying to be a college teacher, or am I trying to be the guy who can save people's lives with the knowledge of functional medicine? So creating the Save 100 Million Lives movement, that was my intention and that was my declaration. It was the moment where I said, look, I need to think bigger than what I'm currently thinking. So it starts with intention and declaration. So if you haven't created your own intention and declaration within your practice, step one, this is just a lesson for you. Write this down and go identify what it is that you're actually trying to do, and identify it deeper, more deeply than just, I want to help people who are sick get better. Like, you've got to go deeper, and you've really got to go into your own mind, because when you start analyzing what it is that you want to accomplish, what your niche is, how you want your dream practice to look, right? Then you can really dive deep into, once you envision it, you can dive deep into what needs to happen in order to achieve those things. So once you establish that, then it becomes your intention leads to planning, leads to action. Then you adapt and analyze those actions, right? And once you adapt and analyze those actions, you repeat. You come up with a new set of intentions, a new set of plans, a new set of actions, or maybe it's the same. Maybe it doesn't change that much, but this is kind of the way you want to think about it. But if you never start with intention, and you never start with envisioning the practice that you would like to have, the types of people that you would like to see, the types of diseases you would like to treat, then you're going to be winging your practice. And when you wing your practice, you wing your marketing. And when you wing your marketing, you spend your time in practice convincing people who don't want to be convinced. Because for the average person coming in off the street who just wants vitamin C for a cold or a flu, they may not want to make diet and lifestyle changes. They may want to keep smoking. They may want to keep driving through McDonald's, but they want the pill. They want the green medicine, if you will. They want the vitamin C for their cold. They want the zinc for their cold, right? So, if you don't want that kind of practice, then you have to attract people who aren't those types of people. So again, this is why intention is important, and envisioning the dream practice that you want to build is important, because then you can decide what parts of your current practice are relevant to you establishing that dream, and what people, what thoughts, what office processes you're currently using, what services that you're offering are matching that. And if they don't match, get rid of it. Don't let it hold you back. Like, don't chase the shiny objects. All of us in our mailbox every week get a bunch of things from all kinds of marketers about a new machine that treats that, or a new product that is good for this symptom or that problem, right? And if those things don't match your intention and your vision, you shouldn't let them distract you, because when you're distracted by so many other things, and you're not moving your own practice forward, we call that lost opportunity, right? So, you've only got so much time, and when you don't use your time appropriately because you're chasing other things that don't fit your vision and don't fit with your intentions in your declaration, then you're losing the opportunity to make great strides in your practice by being distracted. So remember that you want to do this exercise and set this up first, because all progress within your practice starts with this. And it starts with being honest with yourself too. Like, don't lie to yourself about this. Like, don't tell yourself something that isn't true. You've got to start with being brutally honest with yourself. So what's your mission statement? What are you about? This should be crystal clear. Your staff should be on board. They should understand what it is as well, because your patients will align with your big why. So this is just an example of one of my businesses is called Gluten-Free Society. Those of you who don't know, that's glutenfreesociety.org. It's one of the world's largest websites on training people how to go gluten-free and training doctors how to understand gluten sensitivity. And so you can see here, this is just an example of our mission. Like, this is just clearly what is our mission? What are we about, right? Number one, educate the world about gluten. Number two, provide easy to use non-invasive tools to help those with gluten issues. Number three, to provide the instruction through video, audio, written tutorials for those trying to embark on a gluten-free lifestyle. Number four, to provide healthy resources for those with gluten sensitivity. Number five, support research endeavors revolving around grains, gluten, lectins, and other compounds within gluten that can harm human health. And number six, provide ongoing analysis and commentary of research. And number seven, to help those with gluten-induced diseases reestablish health. Those are our 7 fundamental mission statement criteria. So if somebody approaches me with a product or with an idea or with a business endeavor that doesn't fit into those 7 things, we walk away. And this is what I meant by lost opportunities. If you're chasing things that don't match your mission and your vision, you're gonna lose a ton of effort, time, and energy on things that don't move you forward in a direction that you want to move forward in. So again, it's important to know what your mission is, because when some opportunity in disguise, or what I like to call, it's not really an opportunity, it's really a distraction, but people in their minds call it an opportunity. If it doesn't match your vision, then you need to look at it more as a distraction and not as an opportunity. So it will help you make better decisions around moving forward in your practice. So once you have that vision mission statement developed, right, you have to develop a USP or a niche around it. And so a USP stands for unique selling proposition in the marketing world. So what sets your practice, what sets you apart from other people who might be doing something similar, right? That's what you want to develop, is your unique selling proposition, or your unique system of how you do things differently than everyone else. And this can be disease specific, it can be symptom specific. These are just some general examples that I give you here of some pretty well-known folks out there that are doing it, right? Nutritional regenerative medicine, Dr. John Tate in Arizona, and he mixes functional medicine with stem cells. You've got paleocardiologist, that's a pretty strong niche. Dr. Jack Wolfson, for those of you, many of you know Dr. Jack, he's on the lecture circuit quite a bit. And then there's Dr. Eric Z, my friend, who just launched his essential oils book and Essential Oils Revolution, and his niche is essential oils. Then you got Dr. Vincent Pedre in New York, who's got a happy gut, and so that's his niche, right? And then you got me, I'm the gluten-free warrior, and that's my niche. So think about what that is, because you want to have a level of expertise that sets you apart, okay? Because this expertise that's setting you apart allows you to market your practice in the right way, and to really create marketing around what you want to attract. and who wants to come see you and why they want to come see you. If you don't have a niche, people aren't going to gravitate towards you more than they're going to gravitate towards somebody else. So like if somebody, for example, because my niche is gluten, if somebody thinks they have a problem with gluten and they've got 6 different choices to go to 6 different functional medicine practitioners, but the other ones don't have the gluten as a niche, and they see my name, they're more than likely they're going to choose me over the other 5, not because I'm necessarily better, but because I've identified a niche and I've set myself up as an expert in that niche. And you can do the same thing with your practice, and that can set the stage for healthy marketing that draws people in properly. So when you're looking at what you want your USP to be, think of disease or symptom specificity. It's what sets you apart from the herd. It's what allows you to connect to people, and it allows people to connect to you so that they can find you. So again, these are just general ideas, but I want you to be thinking about what that needs to be, okay, for you and what your expertise is. When you're establishing your niche, you want to pick things that you're passionate about, that you love to do. So like if you're really passionate about the thyroid, then pick that niche. If you're really passionate about adrenal function, if you're really passionate about food allergies or autoimmune disease, doesn't matter, right? This goes back to what is the dream practice that you want to create. It's your practice. So go out there and be passionate about something, right? So pick what you're passionate about. Ideally, pick something you've got some experience in. And maybe, again, if you're a new practitioner just getting started in practice, maybe you don't have any experience, but you have some experience that you know you're passionate about it. So go with that, right? And that you've had success in. So things that you've already got existing success in is a good way to think about as you're trying to establish what you want your niche to be. So once you've done that, you have to own it. What do I mean by that? You can't wait for somebody else to declare you as an expert. Nobody ever stood up and said, that Dr. Osborne is an expert in gluten sensitivity, go see him. I declared it myself, and we crafted and we created our brand and our marketing all around that. So you have to declare it. Once you have your niche and your vision, craft your message and your content around it, because the world needs to hear from you, right? And that's how we get people to notice us, is we craft our message around what makes us unique, what makes us better than others, what makes us different, what are our special gifts, right? So think about what your special gift in practice is and really craft that USP around it so that you can then focus in on how to set your marketing up right. So that being said, let's go deeper into that marketing element. So once you've got that niche, now let's talk about how do we bring people in? How do we build our office out properly? So I want you to think about this before you make your next hire. I love this quote. If you hire people just because they can do a job, they'll work for your money. But if you hire people who believe what you believe, they'll work for you with blood, sweat, and tears. Those of you who haven't read Simon Sinek's work, highly recommend him as an author. Now, let's back up for just a minute. So, you know, people will work for your money, but people who love what you do will work for you with blood, sweat, and tears. And, you know, if you're just hiring somebody to fill a shoe, to fill a spot, and they don't believe in what you do, and they're not part of, you know, your niche, they don't really believe in that, they're not a good fit for your office, even if they're qualified to answer a phone, even if they're qualified to type on a computer. They're not qualified to be in your office because they don't have that level of passion about what you're doing, and they're not, you know, remember that this kind of stuff in your office is contagious. If your staff doesn't get excited about what you're doing and the change you're bringing into the world, then how are the people coming through your office going to feel that excitement? And that's, again, a big part of being successful, is having people who are on your bus, so to speak, your proverbial bus, who are behind you and really want to be successful with you. Now, part of when you do hire the right people, you want to educate them. I believe that when you're hiring people, don't hire for a particular skill set, hire for their passion, and the skill set can be taught. And there are very, very few exceptions to this rule. One of them being, if you're hiring people to write computer code, they need to be trained in computer code. If you're hiring people to do videography for your office, they need to know how to run a camera, right? But when you're hiring people to answer phones and use, you know, electronic software that can schedule patients or talk to patients, those are not what we would call high-level skill complexity jobs where they have to go to school for 4 years to learn how to do it. So you can educate your staff. If you get the right person with the right passion, then you can teach them what they need to know about how to deliver better care. So I love doing staff education in a number of different ways. Number one, an educated team equals educated patients equals more sales. And so if we're talking about selling supplements and getting supplement compliance, you know, your team, it's very important to understand what products you're using and what products are helpful in doing. We've actually done studies with our clients where when you train their staff properly, you can increase your annual revenue by 33% in supplement sales because your team knows how to communicate to your staff or to your clients. So tap into the power of your sponsors and your vendor reps, and even like Fullscript. Again, they have a lot of resources available for you, videos and other things, you know, product protocol sheets, that kind of thing, and share that information with your team. We actually have some of our sponsors coming in doing lunch and learns, where they'll come in and the different products that we use from them, they'll teach my team about those products and why they're helpful and what's important to know about them. But the other thing I like to do is create video shorts. I like to create, you know, anywhere from 5 to 10 minute videos that are helpful to educate my staff and my team, so that they can learn about the different products that we have. So, you know, it's very simple to sit in front of a laptop computer and hit record and talk about why it's important that you want some of your clients on vitamin C, or why it's important that you use B vitamins or a multivitamin or a fish oil, again, whatever that looks like in your practice. And then once you create those video shorts, you can actually create an archive of video where anybody that you ever hire in the future is now required to watch those videos. So again, this is one of those areas where you can educate your staff, you can immortalize the knowledge using video, and then you can create a manual doing that. So I love doing the work once and then having an arsenal or a tool set that allows anybody new coming into your office to be trained, and then you don't have to do the work twice, right? You don't have to spend time training somebody new every time you need to hire somebody new if you do this type of strategy where you're creating video shorts. And then create a living FAQ document in your office. Look, some of the biggest things I see in practice, those questions get asked every day, right? Your frequently asked questions. The patients ask questions, your staff ask questions. So create a living document, you know, that can be updated as more and more questions come in, where you create a document where there's the question, but then there's your answer, because building consistency in communication in an office is very important. You don't want your staff saying one thing and then you're saying another thing, because if your patients are hearing one thing from you and a different thing from your team, that's going to be a bad thing for your practice. So create a living FAQ document in your office that your staff can reference, so that they never, ever, ever go and say something to a patient or to a client that isn't what you would want them to say. So this is where, again, where you're educating your staff, it becomes very important to have consistency in the message. Let's talk a little bit about live events. Live events are one of the fastest ways to generate new clients and new patients into your practice. And so if you haven't done live events before, you should be doing them, especially if your office is not super busy. So these are just some examples of successful live event topics, right? Maximize your thyroid, balancing hormones, recovering from chronic fatigue, natural ways to heal your leaky gut, living to 100, detoxification. Like, these are just great topics. We've also done topics on going gluten-free. We've done live events on things like autoimmunity. So again, this goes back to what your niche is, right? That's why step one in this whole process was first create a niche, create a vision for your practice, so that when you're doing your live events, you're not all over the map. Like, you're not trying to do things that you don't want to track. Like, if you're not the thyroid doctor, you don't want to go do a live event on the thyroid just because the thyroid is popular right now. That's a distraction from your mission and from your goal. You want to do events on what your expertise is in, so that you can get out there and achieve great success within your practice. So becoming the expert in your local community. Love holding educational seminars for patients, friends, and their family. You can also meet with other doctors and let them know that you will take on all their problem cases. When growing a practice, this is actually one of the most underlooked and most effective ways to drive new people into your office. It's to meet with other docs and say, look, you know, the person that hates taking the prescriptions every time you prescribe them, and they really just pepper you with questions, send those people to me. I'll take them off your hands. You'd be surprised at how many doctors would be willing to refer those types of people out of their practice, the ones that give them the headaches, but the ones that are ideal for functional medicine. You can network with other business owners, and I really would encourage you to network with each other as well, even other doctors in your city. Remember, there are enough chronically sick people that we're actually not competition for each other. So don't view your neighbors and other doctors in your town that do functional practices or holistic practices as your competition. Network with each other. Sometimes relationships can come out of those where if you have one expertise and they have another, it actually can become a really great referral source for you. But also networking with gym owners and yoga instructors and CrossFit gyms, other places where people go who care about their health, who are maybe good fits for functional medicine. Network with these other business owners. Another strategy is to write a free monthly health column, and this strategy works best if you live in a small town where there are local papers or local magazines that, again, they're chronically or constantly looking for content, and they don't have the budget to hire a bunch of content writers, so they're looking for people in the community who would provide them with content for as a health column in their magazine. So, you know, call those different companies up. You know who they are, they're in your community, and offer to write that health column for them. Offer to give monthly health advice to the local TV station. Look, this has landed more of my clients on TV than you can shake a stick at. I mean, literally making a phone call to the person who's on your local Fox or CBS or NBC affiliate. There's a person at the news station who's in charge of health stories. And, you know, it's very easy to pick up a phone and call those individuals and say, hey, I have a story idea for you. Now, the proper way to approach these individuals isn't to call them and say, hey, come do a feature on my practice. It's to call them and give them something first. You want to approach with a giving hand. So give them a story idea or give them a special interest story around health. One of the ways we were able to do this is through food allergies. Food allergies was a very hot topic, so we contacted the local Fox affiliate and we said, hey, you know, we can give you some really great resources on learning more about food allergies and how food allergies affect people's health. And we think that'd be a great story. Well, the news reporter loved the idea, picked up on it, and actually ended up doing interviews with several of our clients and patients, including our office. So it's one of those things that all you really have to do is pick up the phone. If you haven't even thought about doing that, it's a very easy thing to do. Now, there's also a website that's designed to help you get access to reporters. It's called HARO, H-A-R-O. That stands for Help a Reporter Out. And so it's basically a platform designed for you to help a reporter out, give them health stories, give them health ideas. So don't underestimate the power of that. Being on TV one time can put your phones ringing for 2 months. So you know, if you haven't been on TV, if you haven't thought about getting on TV, again, it's as simple as picking up the phone and calling the local station and offering the health reporter advice. Now, additionally, have your office staff attend local health fairs to disseminate your information. There's always local health fairs going on, especially if you live in a metropolitan area. They're generally where you have companies that have 100 employees or more. A lot of these companies will have annual health fairs, and they're free. You can attend them for free. Your staff can attend them for free, and that spreads your information into your local community and helps to grow your name and build your practice. Remember, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And you can know all that. You could be a genius of functional medicine, right? But if you don't have an audience, and you're on an empty stage, right? On a stage with an empty room, you're not going to generate success in your practice. So try building in your local community is very important. And this is why I like to have the group meeting, because when you have group meetings and when you have live events, and one of the things that you can do is if you're going to, again, this goes back to what I was saying about how you market. So a lot of doctors don't have an idea for how they're going to market. They just kind of, again, throw money at stuff and hope it sticks. But if you have a niche and you host a live event in your community and you plan for that live event, so like these are examples, these pictures here that I'm showing you are examples where we had bracelets made. These guys are wearing gluten-free warrior bracelets on the bottom left here. And then we had shirts made. The two people on the right-hand side are wearing gluten-free warrior shirts. What are we doing there? What are we doing on purpose? We're creating a sense of community through clothing, right? So people get excited when they see other people wearing our gear, and it generates energy, enthusiasm, and interest. But it also, especially if you take the opportunity to get proof about it, so taking pictures or taking videos, that creates social proof that people are excited about your office, your practice, and what you're doing in the world. So don't ever underestimate social proof around this. And so again, if you have your niche and your purpose and you have marketing paraphernalia around that, it can make your events a lot more successful and expand your reach, and even expanding beyond your local market into the global market is a very real possibility. And No Grain, No Pain is a perfect example of that. You know, when we first started and first founded Gluten-Free Society, it was a very local website. It was a very local thing. But as it grew, as we applied strategies like this one, it actually ended up landing us into a scenario where we were offered money to write a book, right? And that's a pretty nice position to be in. But the book then took on a life of its own, and we were able to generate more tribe building through other people and leveraging our network of other people in our space that we knew, like Dave Asprey, founder of Bulletproof, and Matthew Loop. If you guys don't know Matthew Loop, he's a social media guru, can help you get your message out there on Facebook. But not just those kinds of people, but also the people, right? These are two children that read the book and applied it and found dramatic improvements in their health. So again, building your community, building your tribe has to fundamentally be a big part of your plan if you want to be successful within your practice. I'm going to show you an example of what's called the mega event. We did one year, we did, well, more than 1 year, but it's called Glutenology, and it was a health expo that we put on. And again, it all came back down to our marketing, to what our niche was, and to what our branding and what we wanted to do. So we first created all of that, and then we put together this expo. And so because we knew what our marketing was, and because we knew who our patient avatar was, and because we knew what our niche was, we were able to pull this off in a very successful way. Had we just put on an event called Autoimmune Expo, probably wouldn't have been so successful. But because we had done all the strategies that I taught you earlier in this webinar, now we were positioned, right, to create an exposition that would generate even more success for us. So in this particular case, we strategized it, right? So I highly recommend putting on a mega event if you haven't. Another doctor who's getting ready to do this, you know, if you pay attention to what other successful doctors are doing, there's another doctor getting ready to do this with Mercola. Most of you have heard of Mercola, Dr. Mercola, but they're getting ready to put on a mega ketogenic event because that's their niche. Their niche is the ketogenic diet. And so they're holding a huge event. So this is just another example of a mega event. So we put on this event and we flew in celebrities and we flew in experts in the realm of our niche. So in this case, again, it's gluten-free. So the first thing we did is we called up Dr. Fasano and his staff, and we said, hey, can Dr. Fasano come and speak at our event? It's in Houston in the medical center downtown. And they said, yes, he'll do it, but he, you know, to come speak, he requires a donation to his research fund. So we said, sure. Well, what's the donation? It was a $500 donation. So we got the world's leading expert arguably on leaky gut and gluten sensitivity research to come to be a keynote speaker at our event for $500, which again, very, very inexpensive to do for the notoriety that it brings to the event. But here's the better thing is that if you have your niche dialed in well enough, you can actually get vendors to cover the cost of the event. So we had thousands of dollars of vendor donations before we even began the event, and actually our vendors actually paid for our donations to Dr. Fasano, and we also brought in Mrs. United States, whose platform was celiac disease. And so again, you know, we strategically created an event around our niche and brought in other people who were famous about it, and we did that for several reasons. Number one, you know, the old saying, you are who you hang out with. If you bring in other experts who are well known in the area that you want to become well known in, you automatically become more well known by affiliating with them. So bringing in Dr. Fasano and having the opportunity to share the stage with him, having the opportunity to interview him and film all of that, you know, created a level of expertise in the eyes of people who were wanting to come see me. So in essence, before being on the same stage as Dr. Fasano, I didn't have the perceived marketability that I did afterwards. So again, when you align yourself with experts, you elevate the status of the way people view you in the world. And that's a very, very important lesson in marketing. If you can just align yourself with other people who are already considered experts, then you become the expert by association. So it's just one way to leverage your marketing is to be around other people who are experts in the niche that you're also trying to become an expert in. So again, going back to, if you're planning a mega event like this, you want to think about who those people are so that you can invite them. And so all costs were covered by the existing vendors. And we also did something unique in this regard. When we sold tickets, we were able to contact the news stations, and the news stations loved the idea of an exposition about gluten in the middle of the medical center downtown in Houston. And so we got lots of news coverage to the event. And so that was free. And so then that news coverage was just one more level of credibility that the event was able to bring to our practice. So again, think about all these moving parts of what can be created. Now, this does take some organization. It does take some time, but this goes back to what I was saying earlier. You're going to spend time and you're going to spend efforts on organization within your practice already. But if you don't have a niche and you don't have a unique selling proposition and you don't have a vision and you don't know where you're going, all that time, effort, and energy is going to be spent, but it's going to yield a chaotic result. It's not going to yield a consistent, predictable result, which is why this strategy works so well for doctors and for healthcare providers if they know what their vision is. Now, these are just some snapshots. So again, news coverage leverages your expertise forever, because when you have yourself on the news, again, you can show that video repetitively over and over and over again. Bringing in celebrities, in our case, we brought in Mrs. United States and other guest bloggers, people who owned websites that were well known in the gluten community, other expert doctors who had notoriety. We brought them in as well. Okay. So one of the other things, if you're going to do a mega event, is to have a private booth. Now, this is a major patient generator. So when you have a private booth set up for your clinic at your event, when you talk, after you are done talking on the stage, everybody in the room that's listening wants to come learn more about what you do if your talk is designed and set up properly. And there's an art to that we don't have time to get into today. There's a psychology and an art to setting up your talk so that people are running to your booth at the end of an event to sign up. But I want you to understand that having the booth there, can generate a massive influx of new patients. So an event like this, although it takes a little bit more time than it might to set up a dinner night, we from one event were able to generate 50 new patients instantly and $7,500 in sales and product sales just from the booth being at the event. So that's the power of a mega event and driving lots of new patients into your practice. So if you're just getting started, think about how you might be able to, even if you can't pull the mega event off, think how you could pull something maybe a little bit smaller off to really start building new people into your practice right away. Okay, I'm going to shift gears a little bit and talk about compliance. So we talked a little bit about how to get out in the community and how to make yourself more well known so that you can bring in the right types of clients. But once they get into your office, now if they're not compliant, you're still not going to be super successful, because again, new patients don't equal success. Compliant new patients do, right? So they got to comply to get better. And if they're not getting better, they're not going to refer. So you need them to comply to be successful. Compliance impacts your outcomes, your referrals, your testimonials, and ultimately the future success of your clinic. So if you don't have good compliance, pay very, very close attention. Okay, so in the left-hand side of this diagram, you see here the new client patient's first visit. You generally, if you're running a functional practice like mine, you're running labs, you're ordering labs. So there's a compliance factor with lab orders. Then there's a compliance factor involved with diet and lifestyle changes based on those lab orders. And so then there's a compliance factor based on whether or not they're going to take the supplements. So again, going back to like what Fullscript does is they help you with that compliance factor on supplements by sending emails and auto refills, and they allow for people to subscribe, to getting that supplement once a month, etc. So that helps with compliance as well, because there's a whole factor behind supplement compliance. And then if all those things are right, you get this positive outcome with your patients. And then that positive outcome leads to great things. They refer new people to you because they've got a positive outcome, and they may give you testimonials. So they may go give you a positive Google review, or they may give you a testimonial video. And then that generates and drives new interest in your clinic, right? So think of this as the compliance cycle. I call it the C3 cycle. Now, compare that to the opposite side over here, where we have, a new client first visit, where you piecemeal some labs together, or not you, let me reframe that, where they say, hey, I'm only going to do, you recommended these 5 labs, but I'm only going to do these 2 labs. So they piecemeal their labs, right? And then the same thing happens when you get to diet and lifestyle recommendation. Maybe you're telling them to go gluten-free or paleo or ketogenic or whatever that is, whatever that looks like in your practice. And then your clients and patients are like, well, you know what, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to eat what I want on the weekends, right? And then they do the same thing with their supplements. You know what, I know you're recommending these 4 or 5 things, but I'm only going to take these 1 or 2 things. And so then what you get is you get an outcome that's predictably bad, right? Negative outcomes equal a deterrent of new clients, because for every person that doesn't comply in your office, you're creating a negative billboard for your office. Think about it like this. That person goes out in the world and says, yeah, I'm seeing Dr. So-and-so. And the person they're talking to is thinking, well, why aren't you getting better if you're seeing that doctor? And that person's not telling them I'm not getting better because I'm not complying. That person's just saying, yeah, I went to that doctor and I didn't get better, right? That's the way that conversation outside of your office goes. So then that person they're having that conversation with, now they're like, yeah, I'm not going to go see that guy. So that damages your reputation, right? So you don't want the negative outcome deterring new clients, damaging your reputation. You want the positive compliance with labs, with diet and lifestyle recommendations, with supplement recommendations, right? Because as you all know, when people are compliant, the outcome is positive and they do get better. So patient compliance, reasons why people don't comply in the long term. One of the biggest reasons is failure to educate. HCP stands for healthcare provider. So this is on your shoulders. So failing to educate them appropriately. If a client or patient isn't sure about what they're supposed to be doing and why, they'll comply a little bit for a short period of time, but then there will be poor follow-up. They'll lose the ability to comply because they don't understand what they're doing and what the goal is or what the outcome is supposed to be, because there was no kind of preconceived or pre-thought out educational process within the practice or within the office. So failing to educate is one of the biggest reasons. Having poor follow-up is also another one of those reasons. And we see this a lot when doctors come to my training programs. These are big factors. They have poor follow-up. They don't have an organized system within their office to basically keep their follow-up phone calls and their follow-up supplement compliance and all those things in place. They don't have clients that are coming in or patients that are coming in that are good fits for their office. So this goes back to what I was saying earlier. If you find yourself trying to convince people of what they should be doing, they're not a good fit. And so if that's your whole practice, if you're thinking, to yourself right now as you're watching this webinar, wow, that's almost everybody in my office. It's because you don't have a vision mission. It's because you don't have a unique selling proposition. It's because you don't have a coherent marketing plan that's set up and designed to attract the right people consistently who not only need your care, but want your care, because everybody needs functional medicine, but not everybody wants it. And so if that person, again, is not a good fit for your office, but you're treating them anyway, that's bad for you. I don't care if you're making a little bit of money off of them, it's still bad for you, because they go out in the world, as we said here, and they create this damage to your reputation because of a failure to comply. One of the other reasons, big reasons, is confusion. They're confused about the supplements. They're confused about their test results and their protocols. They're confused about the time frame and the expectation to improvement. They're confused about the behavior modifications you're asking them to do. Maybe you're telling them to go gluten-free. And if you're telling them to go gluten-free and sending them to the internet to get their information, they're going to be confused. If you're telling them to take some supplements but not telling them how many to take, how much of them to take, whether they should take it with food or without food, whether they should take it in the morning or in the afternoon, whether they should take it for 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, all those questions should be getting answered in your communications, or they're going to lose compliance. If they don't understand their test results, if you're running complex labs, functional labs, and you don't explain or take the time to explain what those results mean and how they apply to your patient's scenario, then they're going to lose sight of what they're trying to do in that protocol that you've got them on. They're going to lose sight of what are they doing. And that brings us to protocols, right? If you don't have definitive protocols that are written down, so there's a strategy behind this, is you don't just verbalize to them what they should do. An appointment for follow-up on this should go something along the lines of, you should talk to them about their lab, what it means, how it applies to their health, what supplements and what nutritional diet and lifestyle recommendations you want them to do in order to make changes to those poor lab results and to their poor health, and what that protocol looks like. And it should all be written down. It should be verbalized, but you should also have a follow-up or automation after the appointment that is designed to refresh them and to remind them on a regular basis about why they're doing what they're doing. And this goes back to using automation, using technology to leverage knowledge, your knowledge, so that it shows up on the doorstep or in the email or the email inbox of your patients and clients so that they stay on track. So all these things should be getting addressed in a follow-up appointment, and there should be a systematized process within your office that is structured to deal with these particular issues. And if you don't have that, your practice is bleeding. It's bleeding compliance, and therefore it will be bleeding success. You're losing people to lack of compliance. You're creating bad advertising due to lack of compliance, and you're struggling as a result of lack of compliance. Well, if you dial these things in and get these systems really, really tight, success comes a lot faster and a lot easier for your practice. So one of the things that we do in the first visit, and we explain something called the triangle of health. This is one of the biggest factors to improving compliance. And if you haven't seen this, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this in this webinar, but I have a special video that explains the triangle of health that you can check out. If you type in triangle of health, Dr. Osborne, you'll find that video on YouTube. And it goes through this triangle and how you can actually describe this triangle to your patients so that they can have a better understanding on that first visit of why you're ordering high complexity labs that measure things like vitamin and mineral deficiencies and food allergens and gut function, gluten sensitivity, heavy metals. Again, this goes back to what are you testing? What are you measuring, right? So again, that explaining this and having visual is a great way to enhance compliance with your clients. Now, one of the things that you've got to understand with compliance too, big factor, going back to psychology. We've talked a little bit about psychology today, but I want you to understand that the patient's journey, this is what it looks like. In step one, they find you via some kind of marketing, and that could be word of mouth referral, that could be Facebook, that could be a dinner night, that could be a talk that you did. You know, there are a number of different ways they can find you via marketing. Generally, they find you via marketing and they set up their first appointment and they buy in. And they buy in. What does that mean, to buy in? That means they invest in your care, and then they get their labs, and then they're scheduled for their follow-up appointments, and then you get protocol management and mentorship, automation. It's like these are all things that should be happening within that patient's journey. Now, these 10 steps, it's very important that your office is very systematized in going through these 10 steps and making sure that they're being documented and making sure that they're staying on track. But I want you to understand that when your patient's navigating these 10 steps, they're going to be challenged with a steep learning curve that oftentimes I see practitioners neglect to really truly address. Because you live and breathe most likely functional medicine, and because you have conversations with people every day about gluten or food allergies or diet and lifestyle change or exercise, like this stuff comes second nature to you, right? But to your clients, to your patients, it's not second nature. They've got a 5th grade level education about these different topics. And so they're going through, when they're going through these 10 steps, they're going through this huge learning curve. They're being potentially ridiculed by other people. You've heard the term health nut, right? When people say, oh, you're crazy, there's no way I could change my diet. Like that's what your patients go through psychologically. So there's a degree of social isolation, and there's a degree of fear checks by other doctors. You know, if maybe they were over here seeing a GI doc, and the GI doc said, oh, don't worry about gluten. You eat all the gluten you want, and they're in your office and you're saying, no, quit eating gluten. Look, the reality is those fear checks and that psychological ridicule and that social isolationism and that struggles that they're having with their family and them getting on the internet and doing the Dr. Google thing, like all that creates self-doubt. And so you have to understand that this is what they're going through. And because this is what they're going through, you want to have a system in place that helps them get through this without straying. And so that's what I mean by your office should oversee this journey by providing the support, the encouragement, the education, the ease of access to records and supplements. And again, Fullscript, ease of access, right? Guidance. This should all be done in an organized, systematic way with measurable and predictable outcomes, because if you don't have that, then what you are doing is you're giving generalized things for your patients to do and just hoping for the best. And the fact of the matter is life gets in the way of your care. You're not the only person in your patient's life. They've got all these other things over here that are going on. And so you've got to have a system that you can put them through that keeps them organized and keeps them from getting distracted. So one of the things that we do in our first visit, when we're recommending labs, is we offer something called the lab packet. Now, what is the lab packet? It's a tangible set of information that they can take home. The lab packet it lists all the different labs that we're going to recommend somebody do, and it's everything. Every one of the labs is described. There's information about what the lab is, what it's measuring, and what it costs. And so it's like a little booklet that we give every new patient or client, because number one, it provides a running record of my recommendations, but number two, it's a tangible piece of information that they can take home. One of the things about functional medicine practice, if you are charging, within the thousands, right? Some doctor, just depends on what your fee structures are, but the average person coming through my office, we have a range of anywhere from $2,000 to $7,000, depending on what's wrong with them, depending on what labs we order, et cetera. So, that's a pretty average range. If you're charging that level of dollar on a first visit, sometimes people need to go home and think about it. Sometimes they're not just willing to pop out their card right now. Sometimes they have to go converse with their spouse or talk through that. So I don't believe in high pressure sales. I don't believe that anybody should be like coerced to buy in right now or go away. I believe that they should be able to, to take a decision like this and go home and think about it. So that's what this lab packet does. It improves compliance. We actually have done studies, and I'll list a study here of a doctor in Florida that I trained, but applying the lab packet within his practice, their new patient close rate went from 60%, meaning 6 out of every 10 people would buy in, to 9 out of every 10 people after they implemented the lab packet protocol. So I give this strategy to you because it's very important that if you're not doing this, you're missing out potentially on helping 3 more people out of 10, right? That would have said no, that would say yes, because they can take that home and they can think about it and they have tangible information and they're not confused. Because remember, the average person that's a candidate for functional medicine has severe brain fog. So by the time they're done with that first appointment, you've made all these recommendations for labs, they're already tired, they're already confused, they're not quite sure. They remember having the conversation, but a lot of them are, they're kind of confused. So if you give them something tangible to take home that reminds them of all the things that you talked about, this is why compliance goes up to such a greater degree. Okay, so some of the biggest factors in compliance, again, I said this before: what to take, how long to take it, what to expect as an outcome, good or bad. If you're doing detox protocols and you expect a Herxheimer response, they need to know that. And then subjective and objective outcomes involve expectations. And this all needs to be verbalized, it all needs to be done in writing, and it should be done in follow-up email with digital documentation as well. Compliance will increase dramatically in our testing when we have this in place versus when we don't have this in place. There's a 50% increase in compliance. Another sales or case study on supplement sales. So in this particular case, when we implemented these compliance strategies, this couple of docs, so actually it was one doctor, Dr. Bentley, what they did, and they tracked their numbers as we applied it. So you can see from 1 year, from 15 to 16, sales were up 22%, 16 to 17, they were up an additional 27%, in total up 57%. And they did all this so that they increased their revenue and their sales by applying these compliance strategies. They saw 16% fewer patients overall. So they saw less people but collected more revenue, and they had overall 7% more revenue and saw 16% fewer people. One of the reasons why is that the people that were coming to their office were more qualified, meaning they were, because of their marketing change, because of their development of their niche, and because of the way that we structured their compliance and their follow-up, the right people were showing up in the clinic. And so they were spending less time trying to convince people. So they were able to see less people but generate more money. And so they weren't wasting their time on the frustration of trying to convince people that they needed functional medicine. And again, very, very important. So One of the things that you want to do with compliance is creating protocol sheets for every patient. There are different kinds of protocol sheets. There's specific protocol sheets, which is if you're running high complexity labs and you have some general information that you're recommending after those labs, those are specific, right? Once you create that document, it's a running record of your recommendation, so it doubles as your office documentation. And if you also make them digital, that can be emailed or printed or uploaded to your office portal for your patient to access them in the future. Now, there are non-specific protocols that can also be created for ease of communication and for consistency of communication. For example, if you're doing allergy season protocols or immune support protocols or post-surgery protocols, whatever that looks like, to help your clients and patients heal, those things can be written down. And so it's important that you have them, because again, if somebody calls and says, hey, what does the doctor recommend for allergy season? If you've got a protocol for it, it's easy. You know that the consistent message is going to be handed off, and it's going to match what you want them to do. Now, again, Fullscript can make all these protocols and recommendations and products and instructions and information available in one place for your patient to access. So if the thought of doing all this and creating all this seems daunting and overwhelming, tap into Fullscript. And those of you who aren't users for Fullscript, there's a special they've got going on right now. I'll just mention is that right now, if you sign up for Fullscript and you're not already one of their clients, they're going to give you and your patients free shipping for the first 30 days. So you can head on over to their website. I think we put up a link for you if you want to go subscribe to that, where you can get free shipping for 30 days if you sign up. Again, if all this looks daunting for you to create, take advantage of what they've created already. This is an example of a protocol sheet we create for every client. It's generally 5 to 6 pages long, but you can see on page 1 here all the different supplements that we might recommend. And then the rest of this is embedded with, you'll see different blue links here, embedded with links for other recommendations we might have. So for example, if we're recommending an exercise program, if we're recommending grass-fed beef or free-range organic chicken or air filtration or water filtration, all these little blue areas are just links that help guide our patients to those areas where they can find the things that we actually recommend. So again, tangible information they can carry out of your office, but also digitize so that when they open this on their computer, they can go pick those other resources up that you might be recommending. All that increases your compliance, which is what this is all about. This is an example of a less specific protocol, more of a generalized protocol for supporting immune function in somebody that's picking up colds or flus. So this is the protocol that we use. Again, just an example of a protocol sheet. Now, patient-client education leads to referral. So if you've got a patient who's educated, they're going to be compliant. And if they're compliant, they're going to get better. And if they're better, they're going to become human advertising. And if they're human advertising, that's going to create a referral generation in your practice. And the more you can build a database of handouts, emails, documents, videos, and audio files that educate them and answer their questions, the easier those referrals are going to come. Because again, the more you educate, the more you spend the time and the effort doing and answering the questions that your patients and clients have, and then automating that process, you're basically, what you're doing is you're creating a massive goal toward a huge word of mouth referral practice. And remember that if any patient referral, anytime a patient sends another patient to you, it's automatically a better lead than any ad that you can put out there on the internet or social media. Because generally, when somebody is recommending or referring to you, they're telling that other person the story. That other person gets to hear the story of their journey of coming back to health. And remember that stories, anytime stories are involved, people, their limbic brain is tapped into. And so when they hear somebody else's success story, they're actually seeing themselves in that story. And they want to become a patient of yours because they want to share that same story with somebody else. So it's hard to convey that type of message in an ad campaign. These are just additional examples of things that we've created within our practice for people to use that answer a lot of FAQs. So like, what fats are safe, what fats are not safe? What can I do to sleep better, right? So, these are FAQs. And if you have answers to these, you should be creating the answers in some type of a visual document that you can hand out to your patients or that you can email to your patients, so that your message is always sound and consistent, but also so that your staff can take part in educating. More examples here on exercise and sweeteners. And then more examples here. This is just an example of the back end of our lab packet where we summarize everything for people. So again, create compliance with clear communication. When you communicate, people understand, and when people understand, they can move forward in confidence and comply with your recommendations. Now, I've said this before, everybody should know with supplements, what is it for? How many are they taking? When are they going to take it? How long they're going to take it for? What are the potential side effects? And where they're going to buy their supplements. So a lot of you, and I hope none of you are doing this. I hope nobody's sending anyone to GNC or Target or Walmart to buy their supplements listening to this webinar. I hope that you're sending them to either your own practice or to somebody like Fullscript where they can get their supplement orders filled, because companies like Fullscript, they make sure that the products that you're sending your patients to aren't knockoff brands. If they go to Amazon, they could buy the same brand, but it could be a knockoff. There was a study done a few years ago where many companies that are on Amazon are actually knockoff companies. They have the same label, it looks like the same product, but it isn't, or the products are expired. And so you want a company like Fullscript that can ensure that the deliverability of high quality pharmaceutical grade supplemental products are available to your patients. So make sure again that you're tapping into that. Now, coming to an end here, we've talked about an awful lot of information. What's next? Look, if you want to grow your practice without reinventing the wheel, if you want to learn from others that have already made mistakes, I'm going to highly recommend the Functional Medicine Success Academy to you. We're actually in opening mode right now, or we're actually enrolling right now for the Functional Medicine Success Academy. You can learn more about the Functional Medicine Success Academy by going over to marketfunctionalmedicine.com, which is our website. And if you're looking for foundational advice for your practice, if you're looking how to implement office systems, if you aren't sure about the marketing thing or the psychology thing or how to online monetize or how to generate passive revenue streams for your office, look, all that is talked about, all that is dialed out in the Functional Medicine Success Academy. So I highly encourage you to enroll today in that if you're really looking to grow and build a highly successful practice without doing what I did, which was make every mistake in the book and go through the School of Hard Knocks. You don't have to do it. There's a program that can kind of elevate you beyond all those mistakes. And right now, there's some special bonuses that we're offering. So again, head on over to marketfunctionalmedicine.com and make sure you get signed up. I'd like to say thank you very much to Fullscript for hosting this webinar today. And thank you for attending and spending an hour or so out of your day with me to grow your practice, and wishing you so much success. Remember, my goal is to help save 100 million people. The way I do that is by helping you guys and gals be more successful within your practices. So wishing you excellent success, wishing you excellent health. And if you've got additional questions, there's an email address there, webinars@fullscript.com. You can contact to get the replay. Have a great day. This is Dr. Osborne. We'll talk soon, hopefully in the future.